Wow, just what a wild day for Miami Heat news. Listen, I had no intentions of getting who's texting me? Did Donovan Mitchell just get traded to the Heat? No, it's my boy Will saying some nonsense. Non-nonsense. Whew, I gotta catch my breath because that's what kind of day it's been for the Miami Heat. I was sitting here, I uploaded like a stream highlight video because last night I streamed for 3.5 hours. It was great. We reacted to the Mikal Bridges news live, which was crazy. We did all kind of other crazy stuff. You can watch the stream or the stream highlights if you're interested. But anyways, posted those highlights. I was cutting up some clips, and then I'm getting all these notifications going on. You hear Jimmy Butler staying. You hear the Heat might trade up in the draft, and then I hear the best news of all, which was Bam Adebayo has officially agreed to a max contract extension with the Miami Heat. The news came from Shams Charania, who says that the Heat lock up three-time All-Star for a $166 million 3-year contract extension, which means that Bam is our cornerstone until 2028-2029 season, which first off, I love it. That is the best news that I could have heard. I posted a video a few weeks ago saying why I believe Bam deserves his extension. You could watch the full video for context, but I truly, truly believe in Bam. Dare I say, I think he has MVP potential. Okay, maybe I should relax a little bit. I'll relax slightly, but let me tell you this. This is not an exaggeration. Bam Adebayo is the best defender in the NBA, and there is no doubt about it. Don't give me Rudy Gobert, who's completely worthless, 3 feet outside the paint. Don't give me Marcus Smart, Jaren Jackson Jr., some of these other, recent DPOY frauds. Bam Adebayo is one of the only players that can truly switch 1 through 5 and is elite at it. He constantly guards guys like Damian Lillard and Kyrie Irving, and he also holds Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid to their lowest statistics of any other center out there. So he is the best at one side of the ball. And if that was all Bam Adebayo does, then I think that alone is worth a max contract extension because he is the best at 50% of the game. But on top of that, he's shown you that he can be a 20-point per game scorer night in and night out. A couple years ago, you had the aggressiveness concerns. I feel like he was a lot better at that last year and even a little bit the year before that. He's showing true improvements in his offensive game to be a guy that you can say, here's the ball, go get a bucket. We saw 2 game-winning buzzer beaters in his career. The one versus the Brooklyn Nets where he went ISO, hit the midi at the buzzer. You saw the transition 3 last year versus Detroit at the buzzer for the win. You've seen him take over in games like the game in Brooklyn a couple years ago where he scored 40 with no Jimmy Butler. You saw the game last year in Sacramento with no Jimmy, and Bam took over in that fourth quarter and got you bucket after bucket after bucket. We know the game is expanding. Started shooting threes last year at a very good percentage. He's now a guy that not only can spot up from the mid-range, he can also post up and get into that post fade, which is one of the most unguardable moves that you see guys like Kobe and Jordan and LeBron and even D Wade go to. Jimmy Butler's got that post fade. That's a move that all the greats have. And that's what you're seeing from Bam Adebayo last season. Now, there's still obviously a lot of improvements that you need. He doesn't have a great, jump hook game to really abuse smaller defenders, and you still would like to see him maybe even take more shots a night. I'm talking even take close to 15 to 20 shots a night. But I think he's that good. And he's still very young. Let's not forget, what's Bam, like 26? So he still has a ton of room for improvement. He's still going to be under 30 then by the time this extension ends. So just an absolute all-around great signing, and I am super, super thrilled for Bam Adebayo. And this is huge news because even from a recruiting standpoint, you have Bam locked down before he goes to the Olympics and he could start recruiting all those guys. There was a lot of concern that, look at the Knicks. They're getting all of Jalen Brunson's friends together. The Heat can't get any of Bam's homeboys. Is Bam going to want to stay here? Is Bam going to want to ask out? No, they locked down Bam Adebayo, and that means that he's confident in the direction of this organization, and he's obviously in the know. As a Heat fan, we sit here and we say, are they going to get Donovan Mitchell? Can they get Trae Young? Can they get Lauri Markkanen? We have no idea. Are they going to rebuild? Are they going to blow it up? Is Bam Adebayo okay with that? A guy that's been to 2 NBA finals? I don't think he would be. So the fact that he re-signed this extension right now tells me that he believes in the plan that this front office has, which should make Heat fans very, very excited. Another aspect of this is some guys are eligible now to re-sign. That includes Bam Adebayo, obviously. That doesn't include Jimmy Butler. He can't sign an extension until July 7th. But a guy who also can sign right now is Donovan Mitchell, who was eligible to sign an extension 24 hours after the NBA season ended, like a week ago. Donovan Mitchell has not signed that extension. So what's going on there? Is there a negotiation? No, because the Cleveland Cavaliers put down a max offer and said, please, Donovan, please sign this contract. He hasn't done it yet. Why hasn't Donovan Mitchell signed that extension yet? There's nothing to debate there. And the longer this goes without Mitchell signing that, it's more and more of a sign that he wants to ask out. And maybe Bam signing this extension is the first domino for Donovan Mitchell to bring his ass down to South Beach. And man, would that be beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, I was shook yesterday when I saw the Mikal Bridges to Knicks news. Because if they re-sign OG Anunoby, that team is scary. But if the Heat could land Donovan Mitchell, which every day looks more and more likely, that is something that we would obviously just be exhilarating, right? And I'm not trying to hope traffic here or nothing like that, but trust me, Heat fans, this is great news. I don't want to over-exaggerate it or nothing. Still, a lot of work has to be done, but this is a very, very positive first step. I also want to bring up this graphic here, which is my guy Yossi Goslin. He's a cap expert on Twitter. He kind of shows the breakdown here for Bam's salary, who's going to be making, wow, $51 million in 2026, $55 million the next year, culminated to $59 million in 2028, which is almost 30% of the cap, I guess, each of these seasons. So that's wild money. You need Bam to continue to improve, because if a guy's making 30% of the cap, he essentially has to be an MVP caliber player or you can't win. But I do think Bam can get there. And even Yossi points out this is great value for the Heat, considering he could have been eligible for a 5-year super max if he made All-NBA, which I think he could in the years to come. So you could look at it as the Heat getting a little bit of a bargain. But let me know what y'all think about Bam's extension down below. Don't click off, though. That's just the first piece of Heat news. The other piece of Heat news we got, or at least another piece, is Jimmy Butler apparently is rejecting pitches from other teams. Brian Windhorst says there's teams that have definitely asked if he's looking to get out, and he said, nah, I'm good in Miami. This is something that I've also been saying this entire offseason. I have a whole video about this as well. A lot of Heat fans were concerned when they heard Pat Riley's postseason presser, and Pat said all these negative comments and he's iffy on extending Jimmy. And they said, oh, Jimmy's not going to like that. He's going to get pissed off. He's leaving. And I said, listen, Jimmy is a guy that loves confrontation. And I think he respects the hell out of Pat Riley for speaking his mind instead of tiptoeing around the topic. And we've heard Jimmy talk about his times in Chicago. He was very critical of the organization there. We know what he started a firestorm with the Timberwolves. We know that infamous story. Even with the 76ers, I've heard Jimmy Butler on JJ Redick's podcast talk about the only person he really respected was TJ McConnell, because he thought everybody else was a fraud and fake, and he did not like that. Compare that with what you've heard about Jimmy Butler, with what he said about Miami over the last 5 years. He said, I want to finish my career here. I love this place. It's the perfect fit, match made in heaven. There's just a stark difference between how Jimmy feels about Miami and all of his other destinations. That's why I never believed that he would leave or get pissed off if they don't extend him. I know that he respects Pat speaking his mind, and I think Jimmy knows he was on some BS last year with the coasting, and even when he was playing, he wasn't giving 100% effort. And I think Jimmy knows that doing that means this team will be a playing team, and they can't win a championship like that. I think Jimmy acknowledges that, and I think he's going to come out next season ready to just raise hell and dominate the league next season. And again, does this mean that Jimmy is going to get his extension? I don't know. Truthfully, I don't want to trade Jimmy. I don't want him to leave. And if it comes down to that, I would pay him. But I would rather play the season out, see how it goes, and then give Jimmy Butler his money next offseason if it's deserved. And the scare there was that he would get pissed off. Well, this report is saying that he won't be able to, or he won't, which I didn't think he would. But it's just great news because Jimmy Butler is a superstar. I believe he can be the best player on a championship team, although he hasn't done it yet. I think he can be, and that type of player doesn't fall off trees. Let's talk about the draft a little bit, which is tonight. A couple interesting news here. One of them was that the Heat are supposedly interested to trading to the number 9 pick, which is currently owned by the Grizzlies. I think that'd be stupid. There was a report a week ago that said the Heat might try to trade into the top 5. I think they were both by Jake Fisher. I think he's just pulling stuff out of his ass, to be honest. I don't believe any of it because it makes no sense to trade up in a draft where there's no surefire prospect. Every draft is a crapshoot, but especially this one. So yeah, I know the Heat might desperately want Ron Holland or Devin Carter, but I think if they stay at number 15, they could get a guy like Jared McCain, Isaiah Collier, Khalil Ware, DeRon Holmes, and I think all of those guys are great prospects as well. And as a Heat team that doesn't have a lot of assets as is, I can't see them giving up something to move up just a few spots in the draft. And I can't do it. And not to mention, the 2 guys they would probably trade up to get, Ron Holland and Devin Carter, they're not in my top 5 even. I mean, I've posted a video about my top 5 since the draft tonight. I'll officially stake my claim here. So 10 years from now, we could see how right or wrong I was. Number 1, I want Isaiah Collier. 2, DeRon Holmes. 3, Tristan Da Silva. Then Khalil Ware. And number 5, Jared McCain. Those are my top 5 prospects. My reasoning is in, my full video. You can check out just a few videos back on my channel. But the funny thing is, though, we also got this report today. Shout out to Big Heat Energy for pointing this out on Twitter. He said that Isaiah Collier has just followed Jaime Jaquez Jr. on Instagram. He's only worked out for the Heat, which I actually didn't know. If that's true, that is the most telling sign right there. And also it says he said in an interview that he sees the Heat drafting him. So it does seem like all signs are pointing to the Heat taking Isaiah Collier, which again is my top pick. I have a whole bunch of videos about him, but quick rundown. I know there's shooting concerns, but I think it's a bit overstated because he was still 34% in college, which isn't terrible. It's not Ron Holland bad. It's not Nikola Topic bad. And he's just so crafty at getting to the rim and finishing with both finesse and physicality. And he is that's such a difficult skill set to have at his age. And I think that kind of dribble penetration is exactly what the Heat could use. And he's also an excellent playmaker out of that attacking. And again, I think he's the best of both worlds of playmaker and scorer. And I think that's something that would fit perfectly on the Miami Heat. Plus, he is built like a tank. So defensively, I think he could be a dog on that end of the court as well. But I think that's pretty much all we got now as far as Heat rumors, unless I turn my phone over and I see Donovan Mitchell trade. I do not. But hopefully we get some more exciting news soon. Make sure y'all like the video and subscribe because I'm on the grind to hit 5K subs by the start of next season. We're less than 700 away. I greatly appreciate all the support, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
Look, pull up in your city trying to get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.